Welcome back to the Shades of Evil video blog, friends, foes, and fellow true crime freaks. I hope you are all having a fantastic winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and I hope the summer in the Southern Hemisphere is not as cruel as some of our subjects today. As always, I want to thank all of you who keep on coming back to listen to the tales we tell and to support us. If you have not, please take 5 seconds, rate, subscribe, like and review our little vlog. It's 5 seconds that will help us tremendously in the rankings and affects our visibility. Now, let's get on with the show. Children of incest are in danger of premature birth and being underweight and undersized. Viable babies of incestuous couples are also likely to have physical deformities. Cleft palate. A cleft palate is a common congenital disability that genetic abnormalities in both parents can cause. Children of incest are in danger of premature birth and being underweight and undersized. Viable babies of incestuous couples are also likely to have physical deformities. To most of us, the word incest is disgusting. It's against nature and everything we are taught. There is also, apart from the moral lessons learned, a more scientific reason why this is one of the unhealthiest relationships between people in the world. Such children are at greater risk of congenital disorders, developmental and physical disability, and death. That risk is proportional to their parents' coefficient of relationship. As a measure of how closely the parents are related genetically, the risk for passing down a genetic disease is much higher for siblings than first cousins. To be more specific, 2 siblings who have kids together have a higher chance of passing on a recessive disease to their kin. Growing up, we were taught never to talk to strangers. This rule existed because of the danger strangers can wreak on children. Now we teach children to yell "stranger danger" and run away. That is good advice for any child living in today's world. However, research has shown that 10 to 20% of children who live through incest become victims of rape by a family member, as explored in the study of Lagan and Harlow in 1994. Most rape victims in the United States are traumatized before the age of 18, and 29% of those rapes occur before 11. Of child rape victims, 11% are abused by their genetic fathers, and 16% are raped by other relatives. There are no statistics on how many women commit incest with their children. Incest between a father and son is underreported, and the prevalence of incest between a parent and their child is difficult to estimate because of the secrecy. Boys who adult family members molest have solid psychological responses such as denial, anxiety, dissociation, and self-mutilation. Common coping strategies might include becoming an angry avenger, a rescuer, a daredevil, or conforming to the misbehavior of the adult as a passive victim. Worse than the behaviors of a male or female survivor of childhood incest listed above, victims of incest may plan and execute, dying by suicide. The consequences to the baby is tremendous when sex between 2 close family members results in a pregnancy. While genetic changes that are consequential usually take a few generations of incestuous behavior to show up in a family, there can be instant consequences for a child born to family members. Incest is harmful in many ways, including genetically. When 2 closely related people have sex, and the female becomes pregnant, there is an increased risk of recessive gene disorders. The reason involves how genes are passed from parent to child. Children receive 1 copy of a gene from each parent. Usually, the genes for the formation of things like autoimmune systems are inherited from each parent, with the harmful genetic material being overridden by the dominant material. The result is a healthy individual. Here is a list of some of the birth defects caused by incest. Please note that not all the variations cause severe problems for the children of incest, but many do. Lower IQ scores. Inbreeding can negatively affect the child's intellectual abilities, even in some cases causing developmental disorders. While inheriting blue eyes from each parent's recessive gene is harmless, it can also be caused by incest. Cystic fibrosis is a severe disease that affects the cells that produce mucus, sweat, and digestive juices. The disorder causes these fluids to become thick and sticky, plugging up tubes, ducts, and passageways. Children of incest are in danger of premature birth and being underweight and undersized. Viable babies of incestuous couples are also likely to have physical deformities. A cleft palate is a common congenital disability that genetic abnormalities in both parents can cause. Children with cleft palates have difficulties speaking and feeding. Heart conditions. The birth of a baby with a deformed or other malfunctioning heart is one consequence of incest. Unfortunately, if they survive, these children will have shorter lives filled with endless cardiac problems. The recessive genes inherited by the children of close relatives sometimes lead to a baby not living past gestation or dying soon after birth. Not all genetic changes caused by incest are lethal, but many cause lifelong problems that could have been avoided. The intellectual disability is also always a fear when two siblings or relatives by blood have a child. It's a sad fact that when blood relatives have children, there is always a chance for problems such as lower IQ, syndromes, such as William or Down syndrome, or a myriad of other genetic disabilities a child can inherit. I am the first to agree love is supreme, and the day we understand it is the day we solve all the problems in the world. All of our nature is for love despite all our reason being against it. Still, it's not natural or right when it's a love between family members. In today's cases we look at mostly fathers who abused their roles as head of the household to satisfy their own desires, but first let me tell you about the fascinating case of the Blue people of Kentucky. The Blue people of Kentucky is a community of people who lived away from civilization, who were known for their blue skin that often appeared almost deep blue. Not a hue or a slight tint, but a definite coloring of the skin. This was, according to scientists, directly linked to incest. Around 1820, a French orphan named Martin Fugate immigrated to Kentucky to claim a land grant on the banks of Troublesome Creek. According to law, he bore a blue-tinted complexion, and, after marrying in a fair-skinned woman, 4 of their 7 children had the remarkable blue skin. The odds of both having the gene that transferred the blueness from one generation is incredibly rare. It's a form of hemoglobin in which too much of the gene is elevated in the blood. I am not sure that he was blue, but the information from the 19th century did not make this clear. The clan was just known as the Blue people from the hills, and most lived into their 80s and 90s and showed none of the physical disabilities I thought they might, apart from the fact that some of them were blue. It was such a long time ago, and as you can imagine, these people were discriminated against, which caused them great embarrassment. It forced them to keep to themselves, which caused inbreeding. It was easy for the community of Blue people to hide their existence in the eastern part of Kentucky, since tar roads did not exist, and these people seldom ventured into town. This Caucasian family had no choice but to choose partners they were related to. The blue tint would also vary, and some members would be an almost indigo blue. A nurse by the name of Ruth Pendergrass would pique the interest of professors in the medicine department of Lexington University when she told them about a blue woman she had treated on a This was in the 60s, and a professor by the name of Madison Caller had become very intrigued by the rumors about these folk. He was the head of the heart department, and at that stage it was believed that the condition might have something to do with the cardiovascular system. Ruth told the professor that she thought the woman was going to have a heart attack right there and then, but the woman patiently told her that she was from the Combs side of the Blue people. She was the sister of Ruth Foulard and she was married to Luke Combs. Where she was just a deep blue, Luke, who had brought his wife to the clinic for tests, was a bright blue. Professor Cullen would be able to determine later that the blueness of the people was as a result of an ensile deficiency. He determined that injecting them with a blue dye would solve the problem, and for obvious reasons, the Blue people were hesitant to believe this. He chose methylene blue and injected Patrick and Rachel Rich's home and injected them with the substance. The couple were injected with 100 milligrams of the substance and within minutes, the blue color was gone. He eventually gave the people capsules to maintain the pink color that had replaced the blueness. Often people would even try to catch the Blue people, but they would just run away. When it comes to the human race, nothing should surprise you. This was at least a light-hearted tale in which no one died or was really hurt, but in today's episode, you are going to get to know relatives who are outright monsters. This is a case that is still doing the rounds in the court system, but I feel that it's worth telling. If you type Aaron Solomon in your Google search engine, the first thing that pops up is a petition by his wife to reopen the death of their son, Grant. I am going to give you the facts as best I can, but if you listen to this and do your own research and feel it's worth your time, please go to the page and give your support. It's important to me that you form your own opinion, but here is the case so far. The case is about Grant and Gracie Solomon, but let's begin by talking about their mother Angie. Angie grew up in less than ideal circumstances. She would rise above them and find her passion in basketball and singing. She would go on to achieve tertiary education and obtain her bachelor degree and her doctorate in pharmaceuticals. She was a hard-working and intelligent woman who was able to buy her own home, and she was on her way to make a perfect life for herself. In 2001, she reconnected with a man she went to school with by the name of Aaron Solomon. He was working at the time as a sports anchor for VSVD, which was an AVC affiliate in Tennessee. The relationship grew quickly, and within 6 weeks, Angie discovered that she was pregnant with her first son Grant. She was prepared to raise her son by herself, but she felt pressure from her parents to marry Aaron. After only being in a relationship for 2 months, the couple tied the knot. On the 17th of October, 2005, the little family welcomed a daughter by the name of Gracie. Grant, who was a very positive and happy child, was very close to his sister and his mother, and he saw himself as a protector of the 2 women in his life. At the age of 4 years old, he began to play baseball and he showed unusual talent in the sport. He was such a good pitcher that he caught the attention of Division I schools in his high school years. According to Angie, her relationship with her husband quickly turned sour after the birth of Grant. Angie claims that Aaron had frequent angry outbursts and exercised control over everything in the home. Aaron had not just cheated on her more than once, he was grooming underage girls and had often hired sex workers to fulfill his needs. In 2011, Aaron voluntarily resigned from his job after explicit content was found on his laptop. In 2014, he started at Merrill Lynch as a financial advisor. But the abuse apparently continued. Angie would try to seek therapy, but Aaron made it almost impossible by insisting on listening in and inserting himself into her sessions. He would later join her in these sessions, during which Angie was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Aaron, on the other hand, was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Aaron's abuse against his wife seemed to have escalated after the birth of Gracie. In 2013, Gracie told her mother that her father insisted on giving her baths and that he wanted to be the only one to do so. Angie noted that Gracie would become very upset when it became time for her to take a bath. Gracie confided in her mother that her father was hurting her in a physical and sexual manner during bath time and that he was inserting soap into her private parts. Angie did confront Aaron, who confessed that he had done it. He warned Angie that if she told anyone, he would ensure that she never saw her children again. Angie became as proactive as she possibly could by seeing another therapist by the name of Dr. Reed. She also began to take notes on her phone and started to work on an exit plan. Both sets of grandparents were well aware of what was happening at home, but for one reason or another did not give Angie any support or intervened in any way. In May 2013, Angie had taken to sleeping with her 2 children in her locked bedroom because Aaron's outbursts were so severe. Aaron appears to have convinced her to unlock the room and he took her into the bathroom to talk. There he proceeded to hit her on the side of the head with the cord of a hairdryer. Grant walked in, witnessing his father strangling his mother, and he intervened. Angie escaped from the house, but a police report on the matter was never filled. Aaron, in a strange flipping of the script, called the police himself. Angie said that she had called Aaron's parents and it was after they spoke to him that he made the call, but not to report the abuse he had committed. He called to tell them that his wife had tried to take her own life. Angie was forced to go to Parthenon Memorial Hospital for treatment because of the claims that she was mentally ill and had tried to take her own life. Angie told the doctor the truth about what happened and she was allowed to stay overnight to get away from the situation for a bit. When she returned to the home on the 11th of May, the house was completely empty. The children were gone and despite numerous calls to Aaron and her parents and in-laws, no one answered her calls. She was hoping to see her kids the following day, which was Mother's Day, but instead the police arrived because Aaron once again called police and told them she was trying to take her life. The amount of gaslighting is astounding. The police fortunately assessed the situation and decided that Angie was in a toxic relationship and was no danger to herself or anyone else. So far, the police and the hospital agreed that she had no suicidal tendencies and was in a toxic relationship and needed to get away from her husband. Angie, while waiting for news about her children's whereabouts, approached the police, who were not willing to assist her. Aaron had finally taken the step to file for divorce. He managed to gain full custody of the children, but Angie was relentless in her fight to have her children back. Neither of the children wanted to stay with him, because he was incredibly strict and controlling. He controlled their diets and was physically harmful to both children. Grant lost 25 pounds while in the care of his father. Grant wanted to get away from his father so badly that he jumped from a moving car, but Aaron managed to grab him by the wrist and pull him back. It seems that this incident might have also caused Grant's wrist to be permanently damaged. On the 21st of June, 2013, the divorce hearing took place and Angie's family members decided to side and testify on Aaron's behalf, despite testimony from her doctors. The ultimate ruling was that the children should be with Aaron. Angie continued to document any actions or abuse that seemed harmful from Aaron, and by 2014, Angie was allowed 2 hours of visitation per week with her children. Angie would finally get to see her children, but the state they were in concerned her. Grant had lost a lot of weight and Gracie had big dark bags under her eyes. Despite her concern for her exhausted children, the court had ruled that she was not allowed any alone time with the children until she went for a full psychiatric evaluation. She did and was declared completely competent with no suicidal thoughts or desires. Still, the only change would be that she now could see her children for 6 hours a week. In November 2014, Gracie told her mother that the sexual abuse continued with Aaron. She opened up more in 2015, telling her mother that she suspected that she was being drugged. When she woke up from one of these episodes, she discovered she was in her father's bed and her thighs and private areas were burning. Gracie also FaceTimed her mother and showed her a series of bruises on her legs. According to Aaron, these were just rashes from her swimsuit. Gracie also said that if they said something to upset Aaron in the car, he would purposefully drive faster. During this time, Aaron had received an inheritance of $1 million from an aunt and he had been receiving payments on a monthly basis. Despite the windfall, Aaron made a complaint that Angie was not paying her side of the child support in April 2015, which led to her arrest. Angie continued to reach out to an endorsement, organizations in her community and the Grace Academy, where Gracie was a student to get support, but her pleas for help gained little traction. In 2018, Gracie and Grant tried to run away from home, but were promptly returned to their father. During the weekend of the 17th of August, things took a turn for the worst when Grant had to attend a baseball tournament. Grant remained at the tournament, while Gracie and Aaron returned to their home. Along the way, Aaron booked a room with only one bed, despite Gracie asking for 2 beds. That evening Aaron attacked her again and during the hearing the following day, Gracie did recount the details of the attack. Despite this testimony as well as a statement by Grant on paper that detailed the ongoing abuse, Angie not only lost the hearing, but was also banned from filing any other such hearings. The judge felt that the hearings were feed out of spite instead of the best interest of the children. Gracie had tried to confide in staff members at their school. Grant was so upset he refused to go to school until he got a meeting with the school principal. He got his meeting, but he got nowhere except ruining Grace's reputation. Aaron had a good standing in his church, which was an affiliate of the school, and Angie believes that this is why this happened. On the 21st of July, 2020, things took a turn for the absolute worse, when Aaron had to make a call at 8:44 a.m. from the practice grounds where Grant was supposed to start his baseball practice for the day. According to Aaron, who just happened to be the only witness to the accident, he was looking at his phone from his car when he looked up and saw that Grant's truck was moving. The truck then proceeded to hit Grant and drag him before coming to a standstill in a ditch. On the call, Aaron claimed that there were 3 people helping and that Grant was awake, but these statements would all be later proven to be false. Personally, the 911 sounds very calm for someone whose son has been trapped under a vehicle. On the call he continues to talk to people, but when EMTs arrived, they found Aaron completely alone. He claims Grant came too, which was a lie. Grant was lying on his back between the back wheels and was bleeding from his nose, ears, and mouth. EMTs tried to save his life, but he died on the way to hospital. He also had 3 marks on his jaw, 1 his hip and on his right thigh. The cause of death would be determined to be cardiac arrest, and Aaron, without consulting anyone else, declined an autopsy and refused to donate his organs. Angie said later that she believes that Grant would have wanted to donate his organs and that she would have welcomed an autopsy. The case was quickly closed, and Grant's death was ruled an accident. Angie, Gracie, and their supporters do not agree with these findings. There were no signs of dragging on Grant's body, and the truck, despite not having anything wrong with it, was demolished by Aaron. There are also no burn marks from the hot engine and no evidence on his back. He also seemed to have no blunt force trauma at the back of his head as one would expect. His shoes were clean and the area where Grant's body was supposedly dragged was undisturbed. Grant's glasses were on the sidewalk, which is unusual because he was completely dependent on them. A rock with blood was also found in the ditch next to the car. There are many other questions that need to still be answered. Angie salvaged the truck before Aaron could scrap it, and after a forensic analysis, it was determined that the accident could not happen the way Aaron said it did. On the 12th of May, 2021, Gracie released an 18-minute YouTube video in which she detailed the abuse, her mother's struggle to get custody, and the unanswered questions surrounding her brother's death. So far, the police have seen no reason for the case to be reopened, but Angie continues her fight for justice. There is a petition to reopen Grant's case, and these is also a petition called Freedom for Gracie you can find online, if you feel like I do, that this case has too many flaws to ignore. As I said before, go do your own research and make your own conclusions, but if you feel it stirs your heart, give your support to Angie and Gracie. Thank you for watching my Shades of Evil vlog, where we expose human monsters through various true crime episodes. Please like, share and subscribe for further episodes. Thank you.